I thought my marriage to Amanda Brown was perfect until we hit year 7. That is when she suggested a 10-day separate lives trial after seeing it on some relationship podcast. I reluctantly agreed, thinking it might strengthen what we had built together. I never expected day 1 would reveal the painful truth about our relationship. The evidence I found that first day shattered my entire world. Now Amanda is in a mental facility telling everyone I got her sister pregnant. Before I tell you how my world collapsed, drop a comment letting me know where you are watching from. Hit that subscribe button if you have ever trusted someone who did not deserve it. I met Amanda during our senior year at University of Michigan. I came from a small Midwestern town with humble beginnings, while she grew up in Chicago with wealthy parents who gave her everything. Despite our different backgrounds, we connected instantly over our shared love for architecture and indie films. What surprised me most was how she chose me over the typical rich guys her parents constantly pushed her way. She would laugh and tell me, "Jackson Brown, you see the real me, not my family name." We married at 27, right after I landed my first job as an architectural engineer. With our combined savings, we purchased a modest 3-bedroom home in the Denver suburbs. Nothing fancy, but it was ours. Amanda quickly climbed the corporate ladder at a local marketing firm, impressing everyone with her creative campaigns. Weekends meant hiking adventures in the Rockies, where we would race to mountain peaks and capture panoramic shots of the valleys below. We created traditions that became uniquely ours: Taco Tuesdays, where we experimented with bizarre ingredient combinations, and monthly living room picnics, where we would spread a blanket on the floor and pretend we were at Central Park. Around year 4, small changes began appearing in our relationship. Amanda received a promotion that required increased travel to New York and Los Angeles. Initially, we managed the distance with daily video calls and surprise gifts sent to hotel rooms. But as months passed, those calls became shorter, less frequent, and sometimes forgotten altogether. "You would not understand how exhausting these business dinners are," she would say when I expressed disappointment over another canceled virtual date night. With her promotion came a new friendship group, marketing executives who spent weekends at exclusive resorts and regularly appeared on each other's social media feeds popping champagne bottles. Among them was Tiffany Wallace, a recently divorced woman who Amanda described as living her best life. Tiffany never brought dates to their gatherings, preferring to flaunt her freedom and independence. Tiffany says commitment is overrated in your 30s. Amanda mentioned casually one evening as she packed for another weekend retreat. She has never been happier since leaving her husband. I tried not to let these comments affect me, but I noticed Amanda increasingly comparing our life to others. Our hiking photos were replaced on her Instagram with images of rooftop parties and champagne brunches with her new friends. When I suggested weekend getaways to reconnect, she would sigh and say, "We cannot afford the places worth visiting right now." That hurt, considering our combined income put us well above the average American household. The dynamic shifted further when Heather, Amanda's younger sister, moved to Denver after graduating college. 3 years younger than Amanda, Heather secured a teaching position at a local elementary school and asked if she could stay with us temporarily until finding her own place. Amanda reluctantly agreed, but I welcomed the idea, hoping family presence might bring back some of the warmth our home had been missing. Heather was everything Amanda used to be: enthusiastic about simple pleasures, appreciative of heartfelt gestures, and genuinely interested in my architectural projects. We established Sunday dinner traditions where I would grill steaks while Heather prepared her grandmother's famous potato salad. Amanda would often be too tired to join, preferring to catch up on work or scroll through her phone upstairs. "Heather needs to grow up," Amanda would mutter when I mentioned how much fun her sister was. That childish excitement about everything is exactly why she cannot maintain relationships or advance in her career. I found myself defending Heather, creating additional tension with Amanda. "Not everyone measures success by salary or social connections," I argued during one heated discussion. "Some people value different things." The argument ended with slammed doors and silent treatments. Later that week, Heather pulled me aside while Amanda was at another unavoidable work dinner. "Jackson, I do not want to overstep, but Amanda seems different," she whispered, genuine concern in her eyes. She is not the sister I grew up with. Something has changed her. I brushed off the comment, defending Amanda's stress levels and work pressure. But deep down I knew Heather was right. The woman I married was fading away, replaced by someone obsessed with status and external validation. The breaking point arrived after Amanda started coming home increasingly late, always with the same excuse: team building with colleagues. Her phone became a fortress, password protected and always face down. Notifications would cause her to quickly grab it before I could glimpse the screen. Once I noticed her smiling at text messages in a way she no longer smiled with me. While paying bills one month, I discovered statements from a credit card I knew nothing about. Expensive restaurant charges, hotel bookings on weekends. She claimed to be at marketing conferences, and jewelry purchases that never made their way home. When confronted, Amanda exploded. "You are invading my privacy. I work hard for my money and deserve to spend it how I want." "It is not about the money," I said, trying to remain calm. "It is about the secrecy. We are married. We are supposed to share these things." She paced our kitchen, agitated in a way I had never seen. "Maybe that is the problem," she snapped. "Maybe we need space to remember who we are as individuals." That is when she proposed the 10-day separate lives experiment. She explained she had heard about it on a relationship podcast: couples living under the same roof but leading completely separate lives for 10 days. No questions about each other's activities, no obligations to one another, complete freedom to pursue individual interests. After the 10 days, they would meet to discuss what they learned and how to move forward. "It will be good for us," she insisted, her tone softer but determined. "We will rediscover ourselves and appreciate what we have together." I agreed, hoping this experiment would be a wake-up call for both of us. I truly believed we would emerge stronger with renewed appreciation for our partnership. I never expected what happened next. I woke up on day 1 of our separate lives experiment to an empty house. Amanda was already gone, which seemed odd considering she usually slept in on Saturdays. Walking to the closet, I discovered her large suitcase missing. On the kitchen counter sat a hastily written note: "Staying at Tiffany's for the experiment. Thought separate houses would make this more effective. See you in 10 days. My heart sank. This was not what we had agreed upon. The experiment was supposed to occur under the same roof. That was the challenge of it. Seeing each other but living separately. Her unilateral decision to change the terms felt like the first betrayal, but certainly not the last. Later that morning, while paying our monthly bills, I logged into our joint bank account and discovered $5,000 had been withdrawn 2 days prior. We maintained separate personal accounts, but kept a joint account for household expenses, and major withdrawals were always discussed. I texted Amanda, trying to keep my tone neutral. Noticed a large withdrawal from joint account. "Everything okay?" Her response came hours later. "Using it for self-care during the trial. Need this time to focus on me." $5,000 for self-care for 10 days. The math did not add up, and neither did her explanation. A growing unease settled in my stomach as I questioned what version of self-care required that kind of money. Monday arrived, and I threw myself into work, grateful for the distraction of complex architectural projects. During lunch, my colleague Jackson mentioned seeing Amanda at Elevation, one of Denver's most exclusive restaurants. "Your wife has expensive taste," he commented casually. "That place charges $80 for a steak." I nodded, pretending I knew all about her dining choice, but added, "Was she there for work?" Jackson looked confused. "I assumed you knew. She was with some tall guy in an expensive suit. Seemed pretty friendly. Figured it was a client dinner." I struggled to maintain focus for the remainder of the day. My team noticed my distraction during our afternoon meeting with my supervisor, asking if everything was all right. I blamed it on lack of sleep, but the truth was, my mind kept replaying the image of Amanda laughing across a candlelit table with a stranger. Returning home to check mail, I discovered a package delivery that had been left at our doorstep. The shipping label bore Amanda's name. Bringing it inside, I noticed the box was partially open, revealing tissue paper and a glimpse of black lace. Under normal circumstances, I would never invade her privacy, but these circumstances were far from normal. Inside was expensive lingerie from a high-end boutique I had never heard of. The receipt showed the purchase had been made 3 weeks ago, well before our separate lives discussion. This revelation hit me hard. The experiment had not been a spontaneous suggestion, but something Amanda had been planning. The lingerie was not for me. In the 7 years of our marriage, she had never ordered lingerie to be delivered to our home. That evening, my phone rang with Heather's number. She had moved into her own apartment the previous month, but still called regularly to check in. "How are you holding up?" she asked, her voice strangely hesitant. "Amanda told you about our separate lives experiment." I asked, surprised she would share something so personal with her sister. A long pause followed. "Yes. She mentioned something about it." Heather finally replied, her tone careful. "I just wanted to make sure you were okay. I am trying to see it as an opportunity to strengthen our marriage," I said, not entirely convinced of my own words. Another pause. "Jackson, just be careful with your heart." "Okay. That is all I can say." The cryptic warning left me unsettled. What did Heather know that she could not tell me? Unable to sleep that night, I found myself scrolling through Instagram, something I rarely did. Amanda had not posted anything, but I noticed she had been tagged in a photo by Tiffany. The image showed them at a nightclub I had never heard of, champagne glasses raised. What caught my attention was the unfamiliar man, with his arm casually draped around Amanda's waist. Her body language showed no resistance to his touch, quite the opposite. The comment section was even more revealing. "Living your best life now, and freedom looks good on you, and most devastatingly. New chapter, new beginnings." My world began to crumble as the pieces fell into place. This was not an experiment to strengthen our marriage. This was Amanda's exit strategy, carefully orchestrated and publicly celebrated by her friends. Day 1 had revealed more than I ever wanted to know. On the morning of day 2, Amanda returned to collect more clothes. I was sitting at the kitchen island, nursing a cup of coffee after a sleepless night, when she breezed in using her key. "Oh," she said, startled to find me there. "I thought you would be at work." "Where did you stay last night?" I asked, keeping my voice calm despite the hurricane of emotions inside me. Her expression hardened. "That is not part of our agreement, Jackson. We said no questions about each other's activities. You also said we would be staying in the same house I countered. Agreements seem flexible for you." She shrugged, heading toward the stairs. "This works better. Actually, I am thinking we might need more than 10 days. This feels liberating." The casual way she mentioned extending our separation confirmed my growing suspicion. This was not a temporary experiment, but the beginning of a permanent change. As she disappeared upstairs, I sat motionless, trying to process the systematic dismantling of my marriage. While Amanda packed upstairs, a notification chimed on our shared iPad that sat on the kitchen counter. We had created a joint email account years ago for household matters, utilities, mortgage-shared subscriptions. The notification preview showed an email from Rocky Mountain Realty with the subject line, "Approval for the Pinnacle Apartments, lease agreement ready." My hands trembled as I opened the email. It detailed Amanda's approved application for a luxury apartment downtown, with a lease signing scheduled for day 7 of our trial. The correspondence history showed she had been viewing apartments for weeks, long before suggesting our separate lives experiment. This was premeditated destruction, not relationship repair. Amanda descended the stairs with another packed bag, her face falling, when she saw the iPad in my hands. "You had no right," she hissed. "How long have you been planning to leave?" I asked, my voice hollow. "This is exactly why we needed space," she deflected, grabbing the iPad. "You are suffocating me with your neediness and suspicion." After she left, I made a decision that went against every respectful boundary I had maintained in our marriage. I drove to Tiffany's apartment complex, determined to understand what was happening. The security guard, recognizing me from previous visits with Amanda, allowed me up without calling ahead. Tiffany's shocked expression when she opened the door confirmed my suspicions before she spoke a single word. Jackson, what are you doing here? I am looking for my wife, I said simply. She told me she was staying with you. Guilt flashed across Tiffany's face. She is not here. She never was she? Tiffany invited me in, unable to maintain the lie face to face. Listen, I am sorry. She asked me to cover for her, if you called or came by. Where is she, Tiffany? She poured herself a generous glass of wine before answering. With Derek, her boss. They have been seeing each other for months. Most of us at the company know. The confirmation of what I had already suspected still hit like a physical blow. Months, Tiffany nodded, unable to meet my eyes. Since the Chicago conference in February. I told her to come clean with you, but she said she needed to secure her new position first. New position, Derek. Is opening a branch in Chicago. He offered her the executive marketing director role, and apparently more. February. 6 months of lies while sharing my bed, my home, my life. 6 months of planning her departure while I remained oblivious, still planning our future together. My phone rang less than 30 minutes after leaving Tiffany's apartment. Amanda's name flashed on the screen. What the hell were you thinking going to Tiffany's? She demanded when I answered. What was I thinking? What were you thinking, Amanda? 6 months with Derek, while pretending everything was normal with us. A cold laugh came through the speaker. Normal. There is nothing normal about the mediocrity you are satisfied with. I have outgrown you, Jackson. I have outgrown this small life, in this small house, with your small ambitions. Each word struck with precision, targeting insecurities I had shared with her in moments of vulnerability. We built this life together, I reminded her. You never said you were unhappy. Because you never really asked, she snapped. You were too comfortable, too settled. Derek challenges me. He sees my potential. And the apartment. You were going to disappear on day 10. Another cold laugh. I was going to tell you before moving out. I am not heartless, just unfaithful. Oh, grow up. People evolve, relationships end. Derek and I are moving to Chicago next month. I am already packing my life. This separate lives thing was just to give you a soft landing. In those few minutes, 7 years of marriage ended. The woman I thought I knew revealed herself to be a stranger, calculating and cruel. When the call ended, I sat in my car, unable to move, as my world completed its collapse around me. The financial betrayal came to light the next day. An emergency meeting with my bank revealed Amanda had emptied our shared savings account, $42,000 we had been saving for a possible investment property. Further investigation uncovered credit cards opened in my name that I knew nothing about, with charges totaling nearly $15,000 for designer clothing, luxury hotel stays, and first-class flights. This is clearly identity fraud, the bank manager explained gently. Would you like to file a police report? The thought of having Amanda arrested was unimaginable just days ago. Now it seemed the only rational response to protect what remained of my financial future. That evening, Heather arrived at my doorstep, her eyes red from crying. I cannot keep this secret anymore, she said, as I let her in. I have known about Derek for months. Amanda swore me to secrecy, said she would tell you when the time was right. When she had secured everything she wanted, I said bitterly. Heather nodded miserably. She and Derek are planning to move to Chicago next month. She made me promise not to tell you until she had signed all the paperwork. Why are you telling me now? Because this is wrong, Heather whispered. What she is doing to you is cruel. You deserve better, Jackson. You deserve the truth. As Heather detailed everything she knew about the affair, the timeline, the future plans, the manipulation, I felt something shift inside me. The shock and pain began transforming into something else: resolve. The next morning I took decisive action. I consulted with the top divorce attorney in Denver who specialized in cases involving infidelity and financial misconduct. Her office took immediate steps to protect what assets remained, filing emergency orders to prevent further financial damage. Document everything she advised. Every conversation, every text, every unusual expense. Forward all emails regarding the apartment lease and any communication with Derek. We need to establish a pattern of premeditation. I spent hours compiling evidence, screenshots of social media posts, bank statements, showing questionable withdrawals, the credit card statements for accounts fraudulently opened in my name. I forwarded the emails about the apartment lease and recorded dates and times of Amanda's admissions during our phone conversation. On my attorney's advice, I legally changed the locks on our home and reset the security system codes. Colorado law allowed this action since I could demonstrate financial fraud and abandonment. I also notified Amanda's parents about the situation, a difficult call I never imagined making. "We had no idea," her father said, sounding genuinely shocked. "She told us you two were having problems and considering separation, but nothing about another man or financial issues." 2 days later, Amanda arrived at our home, expecting to collect more belongings. Her shock at finding the locks changed and security codes reset was palpable. "You cannot lock me out of my own house," she screamed from the driveway, attracting attention from neighbors. "This is illegal." Following my attorney's instructions, I spoke calmly through the security system. "I have filed for emergency separation due to identity fraud and financial misconduct. Your things will be made available to you through our attorneys." Identity fraud. "Are you insane?" Her voice reached new decibels. "The credit cards you opened in my name without my knowledge constitute identity fraud in Colorado. The bank has the documentation." Her face changed as she realized the severity of what she had done. The police arrived shortly after, called by a concerned neighbor, and documented the disturbance. I explained the situation calmly, showing the emergency separation order my attorney had secured. The officers advised Amanda to leave and contact her own attorney, which she eventually did, but not before creating a scene our entire neighborhood witnessed. The social fallout was swift and brutal. Amanda launched what my attorney called a reputation destruction campaign, posting tearful videos claiming I had become controlling and abusive, that she had fled for her safety, that I was punishing her for wanting independence. Friends we had known for years began taking sides based on her fabricated stories. I maintained dignified silence, following legal advice, not to engage in public disputes that could affect our case. Heather, however, courageously stood up for me, publicly refuting her sister's claims and sharing what she knew about the affair and financial misconduct. This created a painful rift within their family, but provided crucial support when I needed it most. Surprisingly, Amanda's parents sided with me after reviewing the evidence I shared with them. "This is not how we raised her," her mother said during a tearful phone call. "We cannot support this behavior regardless of who it comes from." The workplace complication emerged when Derek's wife Lauren contacted me after hearing rumors about her husband's affair. We met at a quiet coffee shop, comparing timelines and discovering striking similarities in how our spouses had systematically deceived us. "Derek has been withdrawing money from our accounts too," Lauren revealed. "And he mentioned Chicago, but said it was just a business expansion, nothing about relocating permanently." Our strategic alliance strengthened both our legal positions. Lauren filed her own complaints with Derek's company, triggering an internal investigation into their workplace relationship, which violated several company policies regarding supervisor-subordinate relationships and misuse of plans. Company resources. Amanda and Derek panicked when they discovered we were cooperating. Frantic texts accused me of trying to destroy her career and future happiness. I forwarded each message to my attorney without responding. As her carefully constructed exit plan unraveled, Amanda made her most desperate move. During a family dinner at her parents' house, where they had insisted she come to discuss the situation like adults, she launched her ultimate accusation. "Jackson got Heather pregnant," she screamed, when confronted about the financial fraud. "That is why I had to leave. They have been having an affair behind my back." The accusation was so absurd that even her parents were stunned into silence. Heather, who had been dating a kindergarten teacher from her school for the past year and was demonstrably not pregnant, burst into tears at the cruel allegation. "Amanda, stop this right now," her father finally said. "You are not making any sense." But Amanda could not stop. The lies had become her reality. She began recounting elaborate scenarios that never happened, claiming to have evidence she could not produce, insisting that everyone was conspiring against her. As her stories became increasingly incoherent, her parents exchanged worried glances, finally seeing the extent of their daughter's disconnection from reality. The meltdown continued, escalating, until Amanda knocked over the anniversary cake her mother had baked, screaming that everyone had betrayed her. Her father finally called an ambulance when she locked herself in the bathroom, threatening self-harm. 3 days later, Amanda was voluntarily admitted to a mental health treatment center diagnosed with narcissistic tendencies exacerbated by extreme stress. The psychiatrist explained that, while not a complete psychotic break, her inability to reconcile her self-image with the consequences of her actions had triggered an acute psychological crisis. I felt a complex mixture of vindication and profound sadness. The woman I had loved for 7 years was suffering, even if that suffering came from her own actions. Derek predictably disappeared from her life the moment she entered treatment, unwilling to deal with the complicated aftermath of their affair. The legal proceedings concluded swiftly once Amanda's misconduct was fully documented. The court ruled in my favor on all financial matters, ordering restitution for the stolen funds, plus additional damages for the fraudulent credit accounts. As part of our settlement, Amanda was required to issue a formal public apology retracting her false accusations against me and Heather. Our divorce was finalized in record time, the judge noting the extraordinary circumstances as grounds for expedited processing. I declined alimony, despite my attorney's suggestion that I pursue it, wanting nothing that would keep Amanda connected to my life. The rebuilding phase began in silence. Our house, once filled with conversation and shared dreams, echoed with emptiness. I would find myself talking out loud sometimes, a habit from years of having someone to share thoughts with. The king-sized bed felt ridiculously large for one person, and I often slept on the couch instead. Slowly, I rediscovered parts of myself that had been compressed during my marriage. I resumed rock climbing, a passion Amanda had deemed too dangerous. I reconnected with college friends she had considered unstimulating. I joined a local architectural preservation committee that met on weeknights previously, impossible due to Amanda's expectation that I be home for dinner. Therapy sessions helped me understand the red flags I had missed or ignored. Amanda's increasing materialism, her dismissal of my career, achievements, her gradual isolation of me from certain friends and family members. I learned to forgive myself for not seeing what had been carefully concealed, and to recognize that trust is not stupidity, even when that trust is betrayed. Heather remained a steadfast friend, despite the complicated family dynamics. We were careful to maintain appropriate boundaries, both aware of Amanda's absurd allegations and not wanting to give any appearance of impropriety. She would bring coffee on Sunday mornings and we would sit on the porch swing talking about everything and nothing. Her unwavering support during the darkest period of my life created a bond that transcended the conventional brother-in-law relationship. 6 months after our divorce finalized, I sold our suburban home, unable to walk through rooms still haunted by memories of a life built on half-truths. I purchased a downtown loft with expansive windows and exposed brick, the industrial aesthetic Amanda had always disliked. The fresh start felt liberating, like stepping out of someone else's expectations and into my authentic self. My career advanced as I channeled energy previously spent on fixing my failing marriage into creative architectural projects. A design I submitted for a sustainable community center won a regional award, opening doors to more significant opportunities within my firm. I developed a newfound appreciation for authentic relationships. Friendships where pretense fell away, where vulnerability was not weaponized, where acceptance came without conditions. The traumatic end of my marriage had burned away my tolerance for superficial connections, leaving room only for genuine human interaction. 9 months after our separation, I encountered Amanda unexpectedly at a local cafe. She had completed her treatment program and returned to Denver, taking a position with a smaller marketing firm. The woman who approached my table looked different, humbler, less polished, more real than she had appeared in years. "May I sit for a moment?" she asked, her voice lacking the sharp edge I had grown accustomed to. I nodded, curious rather than angry. "I owe you an apology," she began. "A real one. not the legal statement my attorney prepared. She spoke of her treatment, of coming to terms with her narcissistic patterns, of recognizing how she had hurt people who truly cared for her. I convinced myself that I deserved more, that happiness was always in the next achievement, the next relationship, the next validation. I never stopped to appreciate what was right in front of me. I listened without interrupting, neither accepting nor rejecting her apology. When she finished, I simply said, "I hope you find peace, Amanda." She nodded, understanding that forgiveness did not mean reconciliation. "Derek married his executive assistant 2 months after leaving me," she added with a sad smile. "Apparently I was just one in a pattern for him." As she left, I felt the final weight lift from my shoulders. Her actions had caused tremendous pain, but they had also freed me to build a life aligned with my true values, one where integrity mattered more than appearances, where connection ran deeper than convenience. The most valuable lesson from my collapsed marriage was understanding that love should never require sacrificing your dignity or sense of self. Real partnership enhances who you are, not diminishes it. I had ignored warning signs because I was committed to the idea of our marriage, even as the reality of it eroded beneath my feet. Today, I approach relationships with clearer boundaries and expectations. I am grateful for those who stood by me when it would have been easier to believe the more dramatic narrative. I have learned that forgiveness does not require reconciliation. You can release the anger without re-establishing connection. Most importantly, I have discovered that moving forward does not mean forgetting the lessons of the past. Life after betrayal is not just possible. It can be richer and more authentic than what came before. The collapse of what I thought was certain forced me to build something stronger on my own terms. Sometimes losing someone who does not truly value you is the first step toward finding the life you deserve. Have you ever experienced betrayal that ultimately led you to a better path? Drop your story in the comments below. If this resonated with you, please hit that subscribe button and share with someone who might need to hear that healing is possible after heartbreak. Remember, the most painful chapters often precede the most beautiful transformations. Thank you for listening to my journey, and I wish you the courage to honor your worth in every relationship you choose.